All right, so if you've been watching the rapidly changing landscape of artificial intelligence lately, and you're just wondering how on earth all these different pieces actually fit together, well, you are in the exact right place. Today, in this explainer, we're totally demystifying the modern AI development ecosystem. We're going to walk through a highly curated developer's journey, taking you all the way from raw foundational mathematical concepts straight through to fully managed enterprise APIs. Think of this as your ultimate roadmap for transitioning from just talking about AI to actually building with it.
Because let's be honest, this right here is the million-dollar question for literally any aspiring tech builder today. How do you actually go from zero to building production-ready AI? The sheer volume of tools, frameworks, and libraries out there right now is just staggering. It can honestly feel completely paralyzing trying to navigate that noise. But when you really break it down, getting to production is simply a matter of understanding the foundational layers and knowing exactly which tool you need to grab at each specific phase of your build. It's totally doable. So think of this like a construction project. Here is your roadmap to mastering the modern AI stack. We'll start with number 1, mastering AI fundamentals. 2, exploring the ML ecosystem. 3, fine-tuning high-performance LLMs. And finally, 4, building production-ready AI apps.
Okay, let's jump right into step 1, mastering the AI fundamentals. I absolutely love this quote from Josh Starmer over at the StatQuest YouTube channel because it brilliantly captures the exact mindset you need when you're laying down your initial blueprints. You know, so often when people look at AI, they get incredibly intimidated by the math. It looks like magic. But as Josh points out, you don't need the material dumped down. You just need your understanding built up, right from the ground floor. The secret is that complex machine learning techniques are actually just a combination of small, simple, and highly logical steps layered on top of one another. By understanding these bite-sized methodologies first, you completely remove the fear factor. Take gradient descent, for example. It sounds complicated, but it's essentially just an algorithm acting like a hiker, intuitively trying to find the lowest point in a valley to minimize errors. Or backpropagation. That's literally just the foundational way neural networks learn from their mistakes over time. Once you realize that even massive trillion-parameter large language models are just relying on these basic puzzle-piece mathematical principles to function, man, the entire field becomes profoundly accessible to anyone who's willing to put in the time.
All right, moving right along to our second step, exploring the ML ecosystem. So with those mathematical blueprints in hand, we venture into Hugging Face. Now, Hugging Face acts as our massive hardware store for AI materials. They strategically categorize their massive toolkit into 4 distinct areas to support everything from raw data all the way to actual deployment. It's not just some random place to download models, it is a complete end-to-end ecosystem. You've got the hub for hosting, core ML libraries for accessing state-of-the-art architectures, training tools to optimize large models, and finally, deployment infrastructure to actually get your application out into the wild. Now, arguably the most critical piece of that entire ecosystem is the Transformers library. This library is the bridge between those raw mathematical concepts we talked about and the actual, usable, state-of-the-art models inside frameworks like PyTorch. You can think of the transformer architecture as the literal engine block that powers today's most advanced artificial intelligence. Having direct, open-source access to it, that is the ultimate enabler for modern developers. It gives you the exact same foundational parts that are being used by the biggest tech companies on the planet. Which brings us to step 3, fine-tuning high-performance LLMs. So you've got your materials from the hardware store, but how do you make them blazing fast for your specific custom use case? Well, that's where we step into the machine shop, using LitGPT from Lightning AI. Listen, in typical software development, abstractions are usually a great thing, but when you are trying to squeeze every single ounce of performance out of an insanely expensive GPU to train an AI model, hidden layers can seriously bog you down and make debugging an absolute nightmare. LitGPT purposefully strips away those layers. They give you clean, single-file implementations, so you retain absolute 100% control over the entire training process. And these structure your development journey into this highly streamlined, totally repeatable workflow. So you might pre-train a model from scratch by exposing it to massive amounts of raw data. Or, let's be real, much more likely you're going to take an existing open source model and fine-tune it on a smaller, highly specialized data set that you actually own. From there, you evaluate its performance on your specific tasks, deploy it via lightning-fast web servers, and test it interactively. It is a true end-to-end pipeline built for rapid iteration. And the best part is because LitGPT offers these highly optimized recipes for over 20 top-tier open source models, you are never locked into a single architecture. you can pick the exact right engine for your specific project. I mean, you have Meta's massive Llama 3 family, Google's insanely efficient Gemma models, Microsoft's reasoning-heavy Phi models, and Alibaba's versatile Qwen lineup. Whether you need a tiny half-billion parameter model to run locally on your laptop or a massive 400 billion parameter beast for complex cloud processing, you have total control over the scale. Finally, we reach our last step, building production-ready AI apps. Okay, so when it's time to plug your customized models into a managed utility grid, like the Claude platform, for example, you basically have two distinct paths: manual control or autonomous agents. Think of the Messages API like driving a manual transmission car. You are constructing every single turn, you're managing the conversation state yourself, and you're writing your own tool loops. It is perfect when you need absolute granular control. On the flip side, managed agents are like putting the whole system on autopilot. The infrastructure autonomously maintains its own memory, handles complex tool execution, and manages persistent history for you. It lets you scale incredibly fast without having to build all that stateful backend yourself. Now, when you are actually shipping an application to real-world users, cost and latency matter just as much as raw intelligence. Anthropic specifically maps out their model family to distinct production workloads, so you can optimize perfectly for both. If you're building, say, a real-time customer support chat where every millisecond is critical, Haiku is your go-to. For a standard, everyday production balance between cost and speed, you're going to hit Sonnet. But if your application requires massive, long-horizon reasoning, like deep financial analysis or crazy multi-step coding tasks, that's when you confidently scale up to Opus or their flagship Fable model. But remember, building the initial app is really only phase 2. The full lifecycle requires continuous iteration. Once you start implementing advanced features like tool use and vision, you have to run rigorous evaluations and put strict safety guardrails in place to protect your users. Operating in production means you're actively monitoring your API usage costs, you're managing your rate limits, and you're seamlessly migrating your systems as newer, more highly efficient models hit the market. It's a continuous, living loop of deployment and refinement. So, look at how far we've traveled in this explainer. We started from the foundational mathematical blueprints, walked through the open-source hardware store of Hugging Face, built things out in the high-performance machine shop of LitGPT, and finally, plugged straight into the enterprise utility grid of the Claude platform. The overwhelming friction that existed in AI development even a year ago, it is completely gone. The modern AI stack is entirely at your fingertips, and the barrier to entry is officially zero. So I want you to look around your industry. Find the most stubborn bottleneck you can possibly find and ask yourself, what excuse do you have left not to build the solution today?